Hello everyone, this is Nele for the Curly Hair Project speaking, and today I will be giving you tips on how to help your child try new foods. We all know that people with autism or Asperger's syndrome and children as well have issues trying new foods, and this is due to a wide variety of reasons. For example, we do like to stick to known foods because we know how we react to them. We know how they taste. They provide us with a safety. Whereas new foods can be quite difficult for us to try out because we don't know what the texture is going to be like. We might not like the smell of it. We don't know what the taste will be like, and so forth, etc. So all these things can lead to a child with Asperger's syndrome or autism to be a very picky eater. Now, I don't like to use the word picky in these cases because, in fact, we are not being picky eaters. We're just being really, really, really sensitive to our foods. Compare this with, for example, a sommelier, one of those people who tastes wine for the profession. They have such a sensitive palate on their tongue. They can taste all the different components. They can even say where the grape was grown. And they too will be picky wine drinkers when in fact they are just using their heightened senses for tasting the wine. The same goes with your child. Well, not with wine, of course, but they do the same with food. They're so sensitive in what they taste and how they taste it. They're not really picky. They're just experiencing things in a whole different level than most people can experience them. For example, when a child tries a grape is really difficult because it has a harder outside. The skin is kind of crunchy, it's kind of hard. Then you have the inside of the grape, which can be it can be sweet, but it also can be a little bit sour. And then you have the seeds in it. And the combination of those things can be a very painful experience for someone with autism. But enough about that. You know now why it is that we are so difficult with trying out new foods and that it takes a while to get used to them. I want to give you some tips on how to involve your child with food and how to try out new foods. First of all is when you are preparing a dish, no matter what it is, involve your child. If they have the proper age, let them see what the vegetables look like before you cut them. Involve them in the process of cutting them. You don't have to let them cut them, but just sit them with you at the table so they can actually watch the entire process going from this is what it looked like before I had the dish, this is what it looks like when I'm making the dish, and this is what it looks like when I have made the dish. That way, they have a plate of food before them and it makes sense in their head. They don't have to start wondering where did this come from? Why is it the shape it is? Why does it taste that way? And so forth and so etc. I tend to do this myself with my autistic foster brother, who had a lot of issues trying out new foods when he first came to my parents. And so what I do is when I try something new is actually involve him in every step. When we don't necessarily go shopping together, but when I bring the veggies or whatever it is I want to cook, I show him and I explain things about him, answer his questions. And then we just go through the whole process, this step by step, the making of the dish, every bit, so he can watch it, every detail, and he understands okay, so you had Chinese cabbage, you had salmon, and you had coconut milk, and you had turmeric, you had garlic. And then he watches them chopped up, and then we finish off with a dish, and he's like, it makes sense in my head. It's like putting all the details of a puzzle, all the little puzzle pieces together to form that dish. And this might be very reassuring for them. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are willing to try it the first time. So patience is key, but it will be helpful. Secondly, creating an eating routine or an eating structure is quite vital. It is actually for every child. So particularly for the ASD child is very important. This can be like have set dinner times, have a fixed place at the table. It can even be the way you arrange the plates with the glasses and the cutlery. All of those things can be very important. Also, if your child has issues understanding what the meal will be, and I know this takes a bit of work from the parents, is you can decide the day before what you'll be having. And you can make a structure board or a routine board with the meal times, and you can put pictograms or little pictures on it. For example, breakfasts, you can put an apple, a box of orange juice, and some sandwiches. You can have dinner time, you can have mashed potatoes, carrots and peas, and a sausage, for example. So that way the child knows what it'll be expecting for dinner, and it'll be more prepared and have time to get used to the idea of I'm having that for dinner, rather than having the dinner shoved under its face, for example, and not knowing what is going on, because all of a sudden you have veggies and meat or no meat and potatoes or whatever you want to have for dinner, and the child can't digest it because it's too much change. So that really helps as well. Patience is, I can't stress this out enough, but teaching your child to try on new foods takes a long time. It's not like you can go like, here's a plate of something entirely new. It won't work like that. You have to go by it step by step and try it. Let your child get used to the idea of trying something new. Just make the dish beforehand, show them how it's done, freeze it if necessary, put it out, eat it separately so they can watch you eat it, so they can get used to the smell of it, and things like that. Combine it with the pictograms or the pictures. Take some time. So patience is key. Don't be upset if your child doesn't want to try something new, because to them it's really so overwhelming and so big a change that it actually hurts them mentally. So be patient always. Also, if your child does try something new, always be encouraging. No matter if they spit it back out, it doesn't matter. They tried something new, and that's really important to emphasize that. Like, you tried something new. Good on you. Really, I'm so proud for trying something new. Also, keep in mind that your child has heightened senses and that it will be experiencing a lot of different textures and a lot of different tastes than what you're used to. So keep that in mind. And that brings me to my last tip is you can try one food in different textures. For example, I only like grated raw carrots. I cannot have them anyway cooked because the texture and the smell of them makes me nauseous. It literally makes me want to throw up. And I know this sounds a bit too much information for you guys, but that's what it does to me. I can only have them raw and grated. So the same might be for your child. You can do different things with different foods. Your child might not like boiled potatoes, try mashing them. Might not like the texture, try grating them. Might not like it, try baking them. It's all the same vegetable or all the same type of food, but you're offering different textures to see what does my child like in texture and what doesn't it like. It's very possible that your child only likes melons that are unripe and quite sturdy on the inside than overripe melons, because the texture gets very different. The same can be with apples. You know, they might like the texture of the bananas, but hate the smell of it. Those are all things that you need to keep in mind. Play with different textures. Play with color. Make your plates sensory pleasant to look at. You know, you can add lettuce, which is very green, with grated carrots, which is very orange, with tomatoes, which is very red. If your child doesn't like his food or their food to touch each other, you have special plates that actually have compartments in them. They're usually serve for people taking their dinners to work so it doesn't get all mashed up. But that works, it works. So try being creative in how you serve the food. So those were my tips. I'll just run you through them really quickly. Involve your child in the preparing and cooking process. Let them see what you're making and how you're making it. Make sure there's an eating routine or an eating structure, and find some helpful aids like pictograms, pictures, a structure board. Patience. Patience is key. Don't get upset if your child doesn't want to try something. If you have involved them in the process of preparing the food but doesn't want to try it, it was already helping you in preparing the food and getting to know the food. So 2 thumbs up. And last but not least, consider making the food in different ways so your child can taste different textures and be creative with how you present the food. Know that it's not a one-day process, but it might take some time, and it might take you to reinvent your way of cooking and trying out new stuff. But also know you're doing an amazing job and your child loves you no matter what. I hope this video was helpful for you guys, and I will speak to you soon. Have a good day. Bye.